Hi, everyone. Before we get into the episode, we're starting things a little bit differently. First of all, we want to thank you so much. We saw the insight for the number of listens this last week, and the numbers were very humbling. So thank you so much for listening. Special shout out to Patrick Campmeyer, who is, you can see, is the number one fan. You can always email us at talkingtwinpeaks@gmail.com. We will take a look at your comments, questions, concerns, insights that you want to give us as well. We very, very happy to hear from you. Joe, do you have anything else to say to the amazing fans that we have?
Yeah, please send all your YouTube covers of just you and I to Paul. He loves that song so much. Yeah, thank you guys. It's awesome knowing you guys are all out there listening. It's really fun for us to do, and we're glad that you guys are listening to us ramble about a show we love. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If someone does, if I start getting an influx of you and I covers, I will put them on our YouTube channel. We will put them on the Showdown, and we will actually play them on our podcast. That is something I will totally do. So, all right. Well, yes, from both Joe and I, thank you again, and we hope you enjoy this episode, part 12.
Hi, and welcome back to a podcast above a convenience store, Talking Twin Peaks. I'm Joe Fremming from the Showdown. With me, as always, is Paul Muad'Dib from Cast That Movie. Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to rock.
Yes, we're balls deep into the return. Twin Peaks' third season / 18-hour movie. And so far on our journey, we have been pretty complimentary about it.
Yes.
And Let's Rock, the title alone, brings back the arm and all that. I want to get out of the way, but I have a feeling we're going to be pretty divisive with listeners on this episode.
Well, funny you bring that up, because while I was looking into things for this episode, especially on Reddit, this is a really divisive episode in and of itself. There is, and when we get to the end, I think I'll kind of say what people's thoughts were on it, like the two halves. This is very much a love it or hate it episode. For quite a few things. But before we get into that, I am going to make a special announcement for us. We were going to end this podcast with the reading of the final dossier. However, I got a copy of the Skeleton Key to Twin Peaks book, and I'll be sending that your way, Joe, and I would like us to read that and put that on as a bonus episode when we're done with the full season 3.
Excellent. I have not heard of this. You're throwing me through.
I told you I was going to, we talked a little bit before, and I'm like, I'm going to throw you for a loop in this episode, just to understand. So there's a writer by the name of J.B. Minton who wrote I'm going to get you the PDF copy because the actual book copy isn't out yet, but it's going to be 422 pages with 80 pounds, and it weighs 80 pounds.
That's right up our alley, man.
Right.
digging we do.
And that's what this guy does. He makes a chart of all these different things, and it's his interpretation of what's going on with season 3. So I thought this would be a really good, for us having gone through this podcast, as a bonus episode when we're done with the podcast, is bring up J.B. Menden's A Skeleton Key to Twin Peaks book, and not necessarily critique it, but discuss our interpretations compared to his interpretations.
Excellent. That sounds great, man.
Awesome. Okay, so there we go. Go ahead and start us off with episode, or with part 12, Joe.
Part 12, let's rock. I'm going to get this out of the way, folks, because I don't want to spring it on you, because this episode, as Paul mentioned, for me, it wasn't love it or hate it. It was loving it, and then it gets to Audrey, and I don't love it. I loved it when I first saw it, but we're watching this with a more critical eye, and with behind the scenes stuff of why it's padded out adds to why this doesn't work for me. But we'll get to it when we get to it. I just don't want people to be save your hate mail for at the end. Because trust me, she's still my second favorite character of the whole series. It's just the preview of my argument here is it feels like a David Lynch short movie about Audrey, just shoehorned into the return.
Fair enough, and I will say my piece on that as well, because I don't want to give anything away till we get to that spot.
Okay, so let's rock. Again, the title is pretty. It was pretty evocative when I first saw the title of it. I was pretty pumped. It goes back to the original series and Fire Walk with Me, and it begins with an exposition dump. We finally get Lynch does exposition. We know he doesn't like doing it in general, but when he does it, man, he lays it on thick. We got Cole's hotel room with him, Albert and Tammy drinking wine.
Did you notice there was a bottle apiece? Like, they are getting hammered, dude.
Well, and this is what the final dossier, or not final, the secret history, and this kind of finally blends over into now I always had a feeling Tammy was doing the research on the dossier in between, but this is kind of where it now overlaps, and it feels, and that she's invited to join the Blue Rose Task Force.
Yes.
And again, heavy-handed on the exposition.
Very heavy-handed, but again, having read The Secret History, it's okay, now this is, because we were waiting for it, right? And now we're okay, it's happening. But yeah, I also thought it was a great way the exposition was to link the show with the movie, with the original series, with the movie, with this, right? This is I thought a critical point, though, even though it's a lot of exposition of this is the line that is really holding these three things together.
Yes. Yeah, it's finally it's now all gelling. I love the scene. It's just because, and again, if you had not read Secret History, the scene wouldn't really do a whole lot for you, I don't think.
No. Well, it could have with because they it could have with Fire Walk with Me, right? Because they do talk about the Blue Rose, right? But it's not going to have as much meaning to you as it was, again, for you and I that read Secret History. We're that's why they went in the Project Blue Book. That's why they're doing all this, because they were going to throw this at us at some point in the show, all this information dump. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so we get some information. Blue Rose was uttered by one of an entity they came across, one of their earlier cases. We don't need to go in the whole history of Blue Rose and all that, because we covered that ad nauseum in the Secret History. But
correct.
Albert does bring up the task force was him, Chet Desmond, Dale Cooper. I forget, did he mention Wyndham Earle?
He did not mention Wyndham Earle. No. He didn't say that Wyndham Earle was in on it. He just said it was him, Jeffries, Desmond, and Cooper. Which leads me to kind of believe that that Lynch is probably Lynch and Frost are still probably bitter about the whole season 2 thing.
Yeah. I mean, because he was, for all intents and purposes, Wyndham Earl was technically, I believe, a part of this. I think that was mentioned in the secret history, but whatever. Albert does have he's the last one standing of the agents Cole recruited. Hence why they don't invite too many people to join their task force.
Right, and that, they kind of bring that up, they were hesitant to do it. And now, it's like I'm the only one left that hasn't disappeared.
Yeah, which if I was Tammy, I'd be a little nervous about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's all in. She's like, yes, I want in.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until you get a lightning bolt and you're all of a sudden in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, screaming and then vanishing again.
Oh, so she joins. They toast again. Like you pointed out, they all have their own bottle of wine. So this is they're gonna get crazy drunk. They invite Diane in too. And it's kind of like, this is another thing. She walks in through red curtains, very reminiscent of the lodge. They deputize her on a temporary basis because they need her help. She's a little apprehensive, but she needs them for Mr. C. So yes. She's not gonna say no. And then when they ask her if she's got all in, she says with the arm told to Cooper in the lodge, let's rock.
Let's rock. Now, a couple of things here that we know. I mean, it's obvious at this point to me, even again, we're watching for the second time, but even this was obvious to me that they are only including Diane on this because they know something's up with Diane and they're keeping tabs on her. So they want to keep her around so that way they can keep tabs on Mr. C and her. I think that's totally very apparent at this point. The other thing I thought was really interesting, as you mentioned, she comes through the red. This was such a giant clue when you think about it. She comes in through the red drapes and she says the same thing that the arm says. That was knowing what we know is going to happen with Diane. That is over the head symbolism that we just didn't catch the first viewing.
No. Yeah. I think we were, this was it's pretty overwhelming when you're the original watching this the first time through, because there's so much thrown at you. There's so much information thrown at you, so much things to think about. Even the most blatant things kind of slip through the cracks. And Diane walking through the red curtains and saying, let's rock. I should have picked up on that right away. I did not.
Nope, I didn't either. I did not either. Nope. So, don't feel bad on that. But watching it the second time around, I'm like, oh, man. Yeah, absolutely. That's what they were doing. I just didn't catch it because I was, as you said, too overwhelmed.
Yep. Yeah, it hits you on all the senses. The audio in this is amazing. There's a lot of clues to pick up in that rewatching that I didn't pick up before. But it's interesting, and it's followed up by Jerry Horne, still high as hell, running through the woods. They have not forgotten about Jerry.
No, I fucking love that.
And then after that, it's followed up with Sarah Palmer. We haven't seen in a while. Mm-hmm. Shopping like all of us during COVID times, just buying lots and lots of vodka.
Cigarettes.
Vodka and cigarettes. A little tomato juice, too, to make that bloody.
Oh,
you got to have your vegetables in the morning,
Hey, I tell you what, man. When I was a drinker, Bloody Marys were the cure to any hangover.
Yeah. Oh, but it's now this comes like, and we'll kind of see this throughout. Sarah's alcoholism is, my opinion, is how she silenced Judy in her head. We kind of see her freaking out. This is not uncommon for schizophrenics. My uncle, never been diagnosed, but I believe he is schizophrenic. Would drink to silence the voices in his head. So this is is not an uncommon thing for people with mental illnesses.
I can attest to that. My ex-wife, who turned out to be schizophrenic, did the same thing. She drank to keep the voices at bay. Mm-hmm. Very common.
This is what I assume is what Sarah's doing. So she's at the counter. This is the only time, I think, in my opinion, of the return we actually see the real Sarah Palmer, besides her as a little child, because she's obviously upset by the turkey jerky. Which, I mean, there's some symbolism there in that it's something that looks like it's supposed to be what it is, but it's made of something else.
Right. You caught that too. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I thought too. It's like, okay, this is a representation of something that is what it's supposed to be, but it isn't. I thought that was very clever as well. Again, didn't catch it the first run, caught it this time.
Yep, and she, asks if it's smoked. Like that kind of falls in line with the whole, fire and all that sort of fire walk with me. Even more shocking, and she's spending $133.70 on booze and smokes.
Well, hang on. I want to make it. Now I can't remember if she just bought a couple packs or she got a carton, but she got a carton. That's about $80 these days. So it's about $80 worth of smokes and $50 worth of booze. Now she only got a couple packs. Now that's a different story.
It's a carton, yeah, and she's buying the amount of vodka that Michael Scott buys for his Christmas party in the office. 15 must be enough to get 20 people. These 3 half liters enough to get me drunk. Yeah, that should do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's an excessive amount for one person. I will say that. It is an excessive amount for a single person. Yes. I mean, I have a bottle of Crystal Skull vodka that I bought, man, it would be at the beginning of the year, like January, February, and I still have some of it. I mean, I still haven't drinking all of it. And she's getting she's getting $50 worth of fucking vodka for, I'm assuming, a couple days.
Yeah. Again, I imagine she spends her days in an alcoholic haze to quiet Judy, because later on we do see Judy come out. But yeah, so because right now, well, we see it happen, I believe, here.
You do.
She starts having a panic attack, and she screams, "Something happened to me." And then all of a sudden you hear these backward noises with the audio, which I brought up earlier, as I love how the audio adds to this. And then you kind of see Judy telling her to stop it, Sarah, stop it.
Exactly. Yes. You see the entity controlling her 100%.
Yeah. Then you got these 2 chucklehead teenagers wondering what the hell's going on. The kid even offers, after she just bolts out, I know where she lives. I can bring these to her, which there's some theory about when we see Sarah, that the kid is there or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll get into that.
But now let's travel over to Fat Trout.
Yeah, totally.
Poor Chris Cole, who's walking down, and Carl's upset he's selling his blood.
Yeah, I thought this was a great scene, and again, you and I love. We've said it over and over and over. Harry D. Stanton's amazing, and you could just the compassion just oozes off of him with this Crystal guy. And, he's like, hey, you did that. Did you get paid for it? You're mowing lawn. Did you get paid for that? He's like, here, $50, and you're not paying rent this month. it just goes to show, like, Carl's a damn good guy.
Yeah. This guy, he sees his fellow man struggling, and he, steps in to help.
Mm-hmm. And, he says, hey, you don't have to sell your blood. He's like, yes, I know they need it up there, but you've given enough. You come to me when you need money.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's like, this guy's given his share. Carl's going to take care of him.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I thought that was awesome.
Yep, and this is followed up by Sonny Jim throwing a baseball at Cooper's head.
That's all we get. That's all we get of Dougie Jones this episode. It's just a baseball to the head. Yep.
Yeah, this has a lot of weird transitions in this episode.
Mm-hmm. It really does. It really, yeah. It's a jarring episode in terms of it's not a smooth episode at all in my mind.
It's not edited very smoothly.
No,
I don't know if it's by design or what. Given the massiveness of this project, I'd imagine some things are just gonna kind of slip here and there. Yeah. So now Hawk is visiting Sarah because she has a commotion at the grocery store, and we get a jarring note right away because we see in the upstairs window and the upstairs fan is on. It's never good when that fan is on.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, we're gonna talk about this fan because we know when that fan's on, that is bad times in the Palmer house.
Oh my God. I wrote this down too. So after watching this whole show and all that, could you actually live in the Palmer house? Like if you were living that? I don't think I could. I think I'd be like, this place is too creepy. Even though it's fictional, I can't live here. That's just
no. I'm in the same boat. I thought about that as well, and I was like, it's funny that we're kind of on the similar wavelengths of those things because my mind just drifts to those things from time to time. And no, Joe, not at all. I could not live in that house. Just it'd be too much. It'd be too much.
Oh yeah. So Hawk shows up. Sarah is not herself. This is, I believe, is Judy. It's either Judy or Sarah's hammered. It could be two things. Because she's kind of slurring her words a bit. So she's talking. She's not happy to see him. We hear bottles rattling in the background, and she gets very nervous about that. Do you think she killed that kid?
That's what I think. That's exactly what I think happened. I think she killed that kid. Yeah,
the kid delivering the booze.
Yep, I think she killed the kid delivering the booze, 100%. And I think that's what that was in the back.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was assuming too, but I just wanted to float it by. Hawk's not. He's pretty suspicious about this, but there's nothing he can do because she says she's fine. She's very antagonistic with Hawk.
Which I thought was somewhat uncharacteristic, but we don't know what happened over the last 25 years, and we also know that as she's gotten older, what I'm assuming is that Judy has taken over her more as she's become less, she's become more feeble.
Yeah, and I think Judy's aware of the fuckery of the lodges too. Might be pushing that a little further.
Absolutely, and I think that and knowing who Hawk is, I think he's an immediate threat to her.
Yeah, because this is followed. We see poor Miriam. She finally made it to the hospital, man.
Oh my God, yeah, she doesn't look good at all.
Missing an eye, but
I couldn't even imagine. All because of that fucker Richard Horne. Not fucker Ray. Fucker Richard Horne.
Fucker Ray Monroe. We haven't seen him in a long, hot while, so.
Oh, we're going to see him soon, I imagine.
All right, so now we go back. Diane's at the bar, checks her phone. We get like a interaction about Vegas. She lets Mr. C know they haven't asked yet.
Yeah,
again, it's like a jarring transition. These are just kind of boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm going to say it now. I think there actually is somewhat of a rhyme and reason to it, but I don't think it's a very good one. I think it's meant to make you think that there's something that's going to happen, like it's doing a very fast-paced thing. And I really think it's David Lynch fucking with the audience a little bit. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It just doesn't really work for me that well.
No.
So what? So now we go. We're at Ben Horne's office, and Frank comes over. Frank knows that Richard. He now knows Richard was the one who killed the kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's laying this on Ben. Ben Horne's life seems like it really sucks since we saw him 25 years ago.
Well, we didn't leave him in a good spot 25 years ago.
We thought he might have been dead or heavily concussed.
Yeah. So, not surprised, but also we know some of the stuff that in the background of what happened with the secret history. So he got what he wanted, but was it really what he wanted? It's kind of I think that's the moral of the story here with him is, do you get do you get what you're gonna get? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Frank's telling him, yeah, he did that. He put the one witness in the hospital. She doesn't have insurance, heavily implying, Ben, you might want to pay for her medical bills because your dipshit grandson did this to her. He's in a lot of trouble. You might get some more goodwill with the community if you're willing to help, sort of thing. But he also has a little trinket. He wants Frank if he thinks Harry would like Cooper's old room key.
Yeah, which was interesting that's what happened, and he says that it'll be a souvenir for Hank, and for Hank, not Hank, god damn it, Harry, thank you, and Hank's dead. I don't what the fuck, and they have a small brief conversation there, and I actually thought, again watching it the first time, that he was going to go to the room and maybe we see something, but that didn't occur.
Yeah, we're still slowly getting there. So gives that to Frank to give to Harry. Beverly comes in. He starts. We get this little thing about nostalgia about. So Ben's going off on this bicycle his father bought for him. This is I feel like it's like a meta commentary on how we feel about the original show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, and then he tells Beverly to, set it up. He's going to pay for all the medical expenses for Miriam. It's an interesting scene, which is followed up.
Well, hang on. I want to go back to it just a little bit. I will say something I was kind of expecting a little bit watching it for the first time. Not this go around, but when he was doing that story, I was kind of expecting it to focus on the green bike with like flashlights going like we saw in the one flashback in the original season. I was like, oh, they're gonna do it. He's gonna do it. No, they didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, this is followed up by we see Cole with a French woman, and Albert comes in and he wants a moment of alone with his good pal Gordon Cole, and we get some Lynch fuckery with this woman just taking her sweet ass time getting up to leave. Like, This is the shit I put up with because this is the 1% of Lynch stuff I despise, but the 99% of the rest of it I love too much that I just have to give it a pass.
This was very much Lynch being Lynch, right? I mean, this was in here just for Lynch's. He knew what he was doing in this. He knew exactly what he was doing in this, and that's all I could say about it.
Yeah, it's just his fuckery, whatever. If I watch it again, I'll probably just fast forward through it. It does nothing for me. I mean, I don't need to see her applying makeup and taking another sip of wine, putting on her shoes. Like, yeah, whatever. But Albert comes in. They've been tracing Diane's texts, so he informs him about the Las Vegas thing. Cole wants to know what do we know that we haven't asked her about?
Yeah, because about the Vegas thing. And what do you think that is? Should we save that? Or should we save that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a reveal later on with Vegas, considering who her sister is.
Yeah.
So,
all right, we'll save it. We'll save it. We'll just say,
we'll save it. Cole really wants to get back to his French woman. Albert asks what kind of wine he's drinking. He tells him the time. Albert just stares at him, and it's one of my favorite lines. As Cole looks at him very seriously and says, "Albert, sometimes I really worry about you."
Right.
And according to my research, I think this is the last thing they filmed with Miguel.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it's last shot featuring Gordon Cole and Albert Rosenfeld. Thus, it serves as Miguel Ferrier's final time playing the character before his death in 2017. So, it's still I love that. Sometimes he's very concerned about poor Albert.
Yeah, is it? I thought he was in more, but is this?
Well, they don't film it in sequence.
Yes, that's true. Okay, I see what you're saying. So this was like the last thing that they filmed together.
Yeah.
Got it.
Albert's later. He's still in the show. It's just this is the last thing they shot with Miguel on the shooting schedule. So yeah, just followed. We've talked about spin-off shows for Twin Peaks. I would definitely watch a Hutch and Chantel.
Yeah.
They're patiently awaiting Warden Murphy to come home. Chantel's hungry after they drove past that Wendy's.
Oh God, that's so because they don't have time to torture him. They don't have time to torture him.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you sure we could kidnap him and then we can and then you can eat? like he's trying everything to torture this dude.
Nope, that's not part of Mr. C's plan. So Chantel shuts it down while snacking on some Cheetos.
So funny.
Warden Murphy shows up and poor son of a bitch gets shot twice before they take off to head back to Wendy's.
Oh my God! And then it's even worse. The kid comes out.
Yeah, seeing his. Yeah. These two are stone cold killers. So there goes the mystery of Mr. Strawberry, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll never know. We'll never know who Mr. Strawberry was.
No. But, Paul, the fucks are at it again.
The fucks are at it again. Can't take yourself out of the shit. I honestly didn't write this one down. Yeah, I didn't write this one down. But I love this. I love this absolutely. Thought this was a fantastic scene. And again, I just love how into it Nadine is.
the commercial. It's almost like the best part of the commercial. It feels like it's like something from Tim and Eric. Just how weird. It's like he's in a giant like thing of shit with a shovel, and like woo, magically vanishes for only $29.99.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, and now I will say okay, there's a reason why I want to bring this up, because this is part of what came up on the when I was saying the Reddit wasn't too happy about this. This is one of those things where actually someone made a YouTube video and put these things side by side. Okay. And they're like, why did they copy and paste it? Why are they just redoing the one episode with this with Jacoby? He's saying the exact same things he was before. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. And I think that was an outlet for what's gonna happen. So go ahead and talk about the next part.
Oh, okay. This is where I think people are going to get a little mad. So we finally, 12 episodes into an 18-part, we get the return of Audrey Horne. And I'm going to preface this by saying I enjoy this scene. I love Charlie and Audrey. I love the banter between them. I find it hilarious. It doesn't fit in the return for me. This feels like it's like a short film Lynch did, like following up with Audrey, blah, blah, blah. If you took this and every scene with her and Charlie all the way to the Roadhouse scene, it would feel like a short film. It just doesn't gel with the rest of this.
So I'm going to actually say that I enjoyed this scene more this go around than I did the first time. I'm in the exact opposite camp of yours. And now I understand. Let's talk about the behind the scenes here, because I think this is a thing we really got to dig into.
Yeah. So what happens is this is padding. This is an example of padding that they had to do because Sherilyn Fenn was not happy with the amount of screen time and what they wrote for her, causing Lynch to have to rewrite parts of the script and get that okayed by Frost so she'd have a bigger role. And that's very telling in that if your role is so this small that they have to pad it out, it means that you're not really that... She's important. She's not really important to the whole story of this return. She is in essence, as in like how the essence of Major Briggs looms large. The essence of Laura Palmer looms large. Hell, even the essence of Harry S. Truman looms large. And her essence looms large with, Richard. But these scenes, you can cut them out of the return, and it would not affect the story in any way, shape, or form.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't change anything. It wouldn't change anything.
I loved it the first time I saw it, and then I'm watching this, and it just does not fit. It's padded out. It even feels part of a lot of it is shoehorned in. It feels like it's just like we need an Audrey. Oh, we got to bring in Audrey. And again, she's my second favorite character. It just doesn't work for me. Watching this with the critical eye now, it's just like it just doesn't work.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. I'm going to say a few things on that because I think there is something to say about it. I think the reason why it doesn't work is because it's Audrey. This was a fan favorite. And this is where when I was doing stuff online, this is where it got really divisive. It's how do I put this? it was one of those things where people expected more from what they got. And when they saw Audrey, thinking what a major character they felt Audrey was in the first episode. Again, as you talk, the first 2 seasons. Again, you said she was your second favorite character in the entire show. But in the grand scheme of all of it, she was really a monster. She I think that's where a lot of the hatred came. At least this thing was, they're like, how dare they waste her? How dare they do these type of things to her? It was I think it's fan hate. I do. But I also am going to say, there was another review of it where they're like, we don't care who Billy is, who Charlie is, who Tina is. We don't give a fuck about anyone in this context except for Audrey. And this is what we got with Audrey. And I think that's why people don't think it doesn't work.
Well, yeah, because she's bringing up things that are totally unrelated to what we're watching. I would have, honestly, and I know this is probably, I would have rather have not had Audrey in the show.
I thank you for saying that, because I am in that camp as well. Yeah. I believe that if you weren't going to use because there were such high expectations for the Audrey character. I mean, you look at a lot of reviews from that time, a lot of people going, when's Audrey going to show up? When's Audrey going to show up? When's Audrey going to show up? And I don't know. I don't know fully what happened behind the scenes. I know that she didn't get a lot to work with, but I don't know if Lynch and Frost didn't realize after this much time that there was still this clamor for her. But it just didn't come out till the reviews started coming out, and they're like, "Oh shit, we fucked that part up." So I don't know.
Yeah, Sherilyn Fenn was upset with what they had written for her, so they had to rewrite it. So they had to make this bigger than it was originally going to be anyway. It doesn't work. She's bringing up these people we don't give a shit about. It doesn't fit because it brings the show to a full stop with things we don't care about. I would rather have had her essence looming, like I said, with like how they did with Briggs and Harry S. Truman. If they would have kept that with Audrey and just not had her return for the show, I would have preferred it. And I love this scene. If this would have been something they put on the DVD extra of like catching up with Audrey, where it's not related into what we're experiencing with the return. Mm-hmm. It's a short film. I would enjoy that more. It just doesn't gel with what the progress. It's again, it stops the show full. It just full stop. It just and then for the rest of her scenes throughout, spoilers, she doesn't leave Charlie's office until they get to the roadhouse.
Well, yes, and so I think that's interesting that Lynch caved to her in that regards of okay, well, write more, because that's not something I think Lynch typically does. I mean, look at what happened with
Laura Flynn Boyle.
Yeah. Look what happened with Laura Flynn Boyle and The Arm, and so. Yeah, I think it was a mistake to make it this long. I think it should have been a short, sweet thing and be like, okay, there's some shit going on with Audrey, and called it.
Yeah, and I imagine that's what the original script was. And that's why she wanted more. Now, having said that, her exchange with Charlie, I love. Like, I could watch this for hours. It just, as we're experiencing the return, we just went through, it just doesn't fit well. But I love it. I love it as a standalone outside of the return. And like from now on, I'm just going to think of it like that because it's fucking art and we can interpret it any way we fucking want, people. She's really laying into him. At one point, she calls him a spineless, no-ball loser.
Yes. And so and there was
the queen of shade.
And it was funny because one of the reviews I was looking at and one of the commentaries says, "This is the Audrey that we know from the first and second season." It is this Audrey we know from the first and second season. Like, this is how I expected Audrey to behave as an adult.
Yeah, like, it's like my critique of Audrey isn't like, whatever, how they wrote the character, because I think this is how people grow old and they change as they grow up, and the things we know about them when they're younger either kind of sharpens or dulls. It's like why people are upset about grumpy Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. I loved it because, like, hey man, people go through some shit, they change. I love that. She's just fucking just telling Charlie about like why he's such a spineless, and that's why she's fucking Billy.
Well, yeah.
This poor son of a bitch, and he's tired. He's got deadlines. He wants to go to bed. She's just yelling at him.
Yeah, and we agree to disagree on grumpy Luke Skywalker, but this is the behaviors I expect of Audrey, right? This is the things that I like. Again, the way that she is, the way that she'd be demanding, the way that she was. She's a Horne. She's always got her way, right? She's always got her way, and she's not going to take shit from Charlie. And the thing is that Charlie the vibe I got from this is she's fucking Billy and Charlie's fucking Tina. That's what I got from this. Yeah, that they're just kind of in this open marriage relationship.
Yeah, and they touch upon it a little bit in Final Dossier, which kind of put to bed like, no, this part is not hallucinations on Audrey's part. I believe this is her reality. This is just like she married her therapist or whatever, Charlie. This is her reality. People are like, well, why is she so afraid to go outside? People who go through a trauma sometimes become agoraphobic, and I believe Audrey has become agoraphobic in a sense. I've known people who've had that happen, and for it's just going outside so overwhelming. So this kind of tracks with me. And again, I don't think they wrote the character wrong, because this is how I'd imagine Audrey would be.
Yes, this is how I imagine it should be.
With the overall story of the return for me, it was like it was probably, to me, it was the most unnecessary, fan treatment or whatever. But again, I love the scenes with her and Charlie. I just see it as outside of the return. It has nothing to do with anything we've been seeing really so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think this is the spot that really was the breaking point of this episode to a lot of people. When I got to this, there was kind of all this jarring stuff, and then you got to this, and this was like, this is Audrey. So I really wanted to hammer on this because, yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean, this tracks for Audrey. I don't think they did the character wrong at all. No, it just, the character just doesn't fit with this story, this Twin Peaks story.
No, no.
Do it like what they did with Fire Walk with Me, and don't even have her in it.
In my opinion, yeah, because here's the thing. When you're watching it for the first time, Billy's been brought up a couple times, right? And who was it? Was it Chuck that saw?
Yeah, Chuck told Tina.
Yeah,
hey, we're getting this gossip with these people we don't even fucking know.
Well, and that's it. And you kind of, when I was watching, I'm like, okay, we're eventually going to figure out who these people are. They're going to have a semblance of something, and they don't. They just don't. It's just new characters in Twin Peaks because Twin Peaks is changing and evolving.
Yep.
And
it's more of the more things change, the more they stay the same type of thing. Small towns, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely, 100%. Like, Tina could be the new Shelley, Billy could be the new Bobby. It's what it is. Chuck could be the new Snake. For all,
son of a bitch. Who's the new John Justice Wheeler, Paul? Who's the new John Justice Wheeler?
That's Balthazar Getty. That's Red. Red's the new John Justice Wheeler.
Holy shit.
So yeah, I really think we hammered on this point a lot, but again, it's just one of those things where it was this was the breaking point for a lot of people with not only this episode, but I think with the return as well. Like, this is where people, because you had a lot of the Audrey, like, you had fan bases of different characters from over the years. And, you know, when you do something like this and you come back 20 some years later, you aren't going to be able to appease everyone. And that's, you know, it's shitty because you think you can, you know, but no matter what you do, one character, you know, you're going to, it's kind of like a Freddy and Jason, right? The movie Freddy and Jason. The people that loved Freddy felt that Jason got too much screen time. The people that loved Jason felt that Freddy got too much screen time. You are going to have people that love Norma and Ed. You're going to have Kelly and Bobby. You're going to have people that loved Audrey, obviously. So when they don't get what they want with their favorite characters, and Audrey is a fan favorite character, this really, I think, broke the return for some people.
Didn't break it for me. It just didn't feel like it fit. It just felt like it was its own separate thing that should probably just exist in another project. Like, again, it felt like a different short movie inserted into Twin Peaks.
Is this what Mulholland Drive would have been? Is that
originally Audrey Horne Goes to Hollywood?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Audrey Horne Goes to Hollywood. Is this would have been a scene in Audrey Horne Goes to Hollywood, like 25 years later?
But still, again, I love the interaction, and so like, and I could watch these two just watch Audrey yelling at poor Charlie for hours, just because it's, to me, this uncomfortableness is hilarious to me. It's Lynch's another way he expresses humor, I think. It's just like Audrey just going off on him, and like, yeah, of course I have my fucking jacket. I told you we're going out.
I told you we're going to the Roadhouse.
Yeah, so again, it's the scene itself and how they treated Audrey. I don't have a problem with it. It's just, to me, it just doesn't fit with what the narrative of what the return is.
I 100% agree with you on that one. We are on the same page there, because I felt like this just cut Audrey out. Just cut Audrey out, because you know, I honestly, I think it would have been more compelling if she was still in the coma.
Yeah. Or just how it was. She just kind of loomed. You had Richard talking about her, or Ben talking about her, or whatever. I think that would have made her character's presence more felt, even without not having her scene in it, you know? But
yes, and the other thing I think too there is that again, when watching this for the second time around, I knew this was coming, but when they talked about Audrey, they made it, I thought, okay, she could still be in the coma, like, you know, because there's the infamous scene that people were like, what does this mean? Which we'll get into when we get into. Yeah. But yeah, they definitely could have just left her in the coma and had her just be a tragedy. Yeah. Right. And they want to do something cool with that. You know, I don't know, make her wake up when Cooper comes back. You know, whatever, however you want to do that. But, you know, if no one was ever going to be happy with what Audrey was going to be portrayed in this, and I think no matter what happened, because this was never going to be about Audrey. This isn't the Audrey Horne, you know, Twin Peaks, the return to Audrey Horne.
Yeah. Yep. I think we've said our piece on that.
Yes.
I understand people are probably going to disagree with us, but, you know, this is just our opinions. We're not here to like punch down on people or anything. If you like it,
yes,
great. That's awesome. It just doesn't work for me.
And I want to make that Joe, I want to make that very, very clear. We are not punching down. We're not saying that if you felt that you actually really liked this, that you wanted Audrey Horne in this more, that this and that. We're not. Yes, we're not punching down. We're not saying you're not allowed. There is a lot going on in part 18. And there's a lot of different interpretations, which, why I want to do this, the bonus episode with this fan book, because I dug into it a little bit. And wow, there are things that you and I never thought of that this person did. And so, yeah, if you don't feel like that we're saying Audrey Horne was wrong in this, this is strictly our opinion. This is strictly our critical viewpoint of what we felt in this particular episode.
Yep. Now, we go back to Diane.
Yes.
And I do love the fact that her phone case, the patterns match her fingernail polish.
Yeah, that was really interesting, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, because Lynch is very big on like how their characters are dressed. He made Audrey shoes for the pilot, because he couldn't find a pair of shoes that looked the way he wanted it in his head. So yeah, so it's kind of cool. She punches in the coordinates that she stole off of Albert's photo. We get like a flashback of her like saying the coordinates out loud, and it brings her to. She punches it into her Google Maps on her phone, and it brings her to the place we've all know, Twin Peaks.
Yep.
No, wait, Deer Meadow.
Deer Meadow. It brings us to Deer Meadow. Where's Sheriff Cable?
I think he's still knocked out after that punch from Chet Desmond.
Glory be to Chet Desmond.
Yeah, so all signs are pointing to Twin Peaks now. So now we kind of have a trajectory of where Mr. C is going to be heading, where our heroes are all going to, it's all coming, slowly returning home of Twin Peaks here.
Mm-hmm. So then we get to the Chromatics performing their song Saturday.
Yeah,
and
I love it when the Chromatics show up.
Absolutely. And did you notice it was 3 guitars, no bass? It was 3 guitars and a drum.
It's a peculiar thing to do, but all right, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the inverse of Spinal Tap's bass song. So Big Bottom song, instead of 3 basses, you got 3 guitars, which was unusual, but I imagine one of those is a baritone guitar. So then we get characters that we know from me. It was I didn't catch their names in the thing except for in the credits, where we got Abby, Natalie talking about Angela and Clark and Mary, which is just more of this what we got with the Audrey scene, right?
Yep. It's this, it works here a little bit for me. In that it's kind of like Twin Peaks. Life has moved on from the last time we visited this town. I think it works more here than it does with Audrey.
Yep. So, and that's we get in this. There was no. Although I do think the driver driving the wrong way down the road, I think that was Richard.
I do too. That's what that's what I thought was Richard, because he was hightailing it out.
Yep, he got run off the road by Richard. So, what did you think of the episode as a whole?
As a whole, it's moving things along. Like we talked, there's some transition cuts that it's just more jarring than being effective. We went on about the Audrey thing, but overall, I like it. It's with the coordinates at the end showing like all signs pointing to Twin Peaks. We're slowly getting to the logical conclusion here. What about you?
Well, so from my point of view, I liked it. There was less Cooper in it than I wanted there to be, but I felt like, again, the fact that we now, that it was the blue, it's really all about the Blue Rose cases at this point. And we saw, we got the creepy backwards music with Sarah, which told us something was deeply wrong with Sarah. We got Diane, is still talking to Mr. C and giving him information, and Albert is on her, like he knows what's going on, and then she punches in the coordinate. We're getting back to Twin Peaks. Cooper getting, we're getting somewhere we think we're getting somewhere with the key being returned. Yes, I liked it. However, I'm going to bring up what the reviews were for this one, and the word that kept coming up over and over in this particular episode was meandering. A lot of people felt that this episode just meandered and didn't serve a whole lot at the time when it came out.
Yeah, I can see that. Again, like when it first came out, though, it's a lot of information being thrown at us. We still have no idea what this is in a sense, especially when you get curveballs like Part 8. I think it was people just like, probably upset they didn't get the Audrey they want, or Audrey's not as big of a character as they were hoping. Again, we said our piece on that. It's just moving things along for me. I think it just got the negative criticism just probably off the Audrey scene alone.
That is my thought as well. I really think that it all came to a head with the Audrey scene. That's where I think a lot of the negative, because when people talk about this episode meandering, they go, there was this, and then they go off on the Audrey thing. Yeah. And it's like, okay, you're not pissed at the episode. You're pissed at one particular 5-10 minute, about 7-minute clip of the episode.
Yeah, because the other elements are moving things along. We get the Blu-rays. We got Tammy joining Blue Rose. Mm-hmm. We got Sarah. We know something's wrong with her. We know just because we've seen it, it's Judy. This episode is moving. Diane, they're suspicious of her. We know things are heading to Twin Peaks. So yeah, it's the Audrey thing was probably what angered people. They, rightfully or wrongfully. So it's just. I felt it's moving things along just fine if you just cut the Audrey thing out and just keep that as a separate entity.
I do think if the Audrey thing wasn't in this, I think the reviews would have been very different for it.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. But then again, it's like season 2, if you cut out the James and Evelyn Marsh thing, I'm sure the reviews would have been a lot better. I mean, hindsight, if you just cut out the worst part of things, then more people, it'll be more enjoyable.
It's so funny that you bring that up, because the other night I fell asleep to the original season, and I just started it wherever, I can't remember. But when I woke up, it was the James and Evelyn thing, and I was like, "Oh God!" like there's things in the episode. I'm like, I totally spaced that happened. Fuck! Why did I wake up? Yeah. I don't want to know this. Oh God! Yeah, it was so over the top. And then James, I gotta go. I can't return. And it was like, yeah, fuck.
Yeah. So we do know Twin Peaks. It can be worse than what we saw here.
and that's it. Like, if you really look at what we got in the second season, aren't you glad that this is what we got for the return? Seriously, this is amazing.
All right. I think we've covered everything. What about you?
Yeah, I think we really did. Next episode's gonna be a doozy.
What story is that, Charlie?
Yeah, what story is that, Charlie? And it's it's gonna be, and then we have the infamous Roadhouse going on in that one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, neither do I.
The episode just ends. I don't. What Roadhouse?
Yeah, what is this Roadhouse you speak of? There's no Roadhouse. What is going on there? Yeah, I honestly am really looking forward to kind of where we're going into now with getting in the part 13 and beyond. Like it's gonna start. It starts, I think, at a really breakneck pace in my mind.
Yeah. They got to rush things along now to get to the finish line of part 18. So.
100%. So, yeah. Other than that, Joe, we talked a hell of a lot about the Audrey things. So, and again, if you're still listening to this after that, understand that you are allowed to like what you like and feel what you felt when you saw this. This is just, again, our interpretation from two mega fans and how we viewed it.
Yep.
So, Joe, what do you got to say? Let's do some plugs. What's going on with you, buddy?
We're capping Halloween month this week with the original Carrie movie. That should be coming out either Wednesday or Thursday. We just reviewed John Carpenter's Halloween, classic
horror movie. Love it.
Yeah, anything John Carpenter, I'll fucking watch.
Yep, even his even the atrocious John Carpenter's vampires.
Ghosts of Mars. Although I haven't seen that in a long time, that might have gotten better over age, but who knows?
Who knows? I haven't seen it forever either.
So, what's going on with Cast That Movie?
So we put out an announcement video because I know people are going, where's the episode? Where's the episode? Where's the episode? Jode wants to hold off a little bit on putting that out because he wants to flush out a few more new things that will be coming up and new features and new staples to the show. So we really want to have that polished before we jump into the recording of that.
And you guys you're turning the Waterworld episode into the Chinese democracy of podcasts.
Podcasts. 25. How many years later did that come? Was that 25 years later as well?
14 years it took them to put that out.
13 years?
14
years? Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's a fuck show. It's something, right? It was one of those things where we're doing that, but it's because, again, there's just so much what we wanted to do with the show and kind of changing it over, and it's, he just wants to have the all the T's T's crossed and I's dotted.
All right.
And what do we got going on with the Bears beats of bobbleheads?
This week, our Office podcast, we watched The Injury, the episode where Michael Scott grills his foot on a George Foreman grill.
Oh my God! That episode.
One of my favorites.
Oh my God! I don't want to give it away. Just listen to that episode, please. It's. Just listen to it, please. It's just, I think that's one of our, so far of our episodes that we recorded, I think that's probably one of my favorite ones that we've done. Recording, like, I had so much fun doing the recording of that particular episode. Not that I don't have fun in the other ones. It's just, this one was a highlight.
Yeah, it's just joke after joke after joke. So it's when the episode's more fast paced like that, I think it's hard for us to keep up with all of it. There's just a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So, all right, well, I think we've done enough, and I think we came back from an episode that there really wasn't a whole lot to talk about, to an episode that we had to kind of go over because of one tiny sliver of it. Joe, what do you have to take us out?
We are like the dreamer, Paul.